Wow, what a game! What a game! The Oilers unfortunately fall 4-3 at the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that was an exciting finish in a very fun afternoon at Rogers Place, evening I should say. Hey everybody, welcome to the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola, Hernan, Salas with you. Matt Kassian, our game analyst, will be stopping by shortly. Reid Wilkins from the Reid Wilkins Show will also join us later on in the evening after he works the locker room and the coach's press conference. Yes, indeed, the Oilers do lose it 4-3 at the hands of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Edmonton will look to bounce back when they hit the road. Of course, the GCL Diesel Oil Stream, proudly sponsored by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around, from turbochargers to injectors, fuel pumps to sensors. They are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years. Get into the conversation. I want to hear what people thought about that game. 780-218-9999. Nasty chat. Fire it up. Let's go. I know a lot of people probably are mad about something in the first period. Liked how the Oilers came back strong in the second. Couldn't really close the gap that much. And then in the third, stormed back. Almost had the equalizer a couple of times. And then time runs out on the Oil. But what a flurry at the end. Again, the review on the offside. It's offside. It's offside. Klingberg couldn't straddle the line long enough to allow for the zone entry. That goal that Leon Draisaitl had scored or thought he had scored gets called back. Put a little bit more time on the clock, and ultimately Edmonton falls. Joseph Woll, that was a performance. You have to admire the way he played. People are probably like, damn, that Joe Woll. Son of a gun. Why can't Stu Skinner do that? You know what? Stu Skinner played a good game. We're going to get into the goals, too. He made some big saves and big moments. Nice save on Marner in the third period. The Oilers without Matthias Ekholm as well. There's so much to chew on. So very much to chew on. And at the end of the night, Edmonton loses, yes. 3-2-1 on this 6-game homestand. But that was highly entertaining. The Leafs fans were into it. Oilers fans were responding very, very well. The team was sluggish in the first period. Their passing was off. I know there is a bit of a bug going around the room. I'm not saying that that's the reason why they didn't play up to snuff early in the game. But then they really, really got after it in the third period and made a game of it and ultimately just fall short. All right, let's bring in the Latino Heat, Hernan Salas, as those texts continue to come in. 780-218-9999 if you're listening on your way home. Hope you're staying warm as well. And hopefully at Ice District, and so there aren't a lot of fights, but the vibe was good in there, and there's a lot of blue and white without the orange. And I said to the group chat, I'm like, guys, I think there's going to be a lot of fights in the Ice District tonight. Not that I condone that. Nat, so what do you take away from tonight?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the stars of the game. Sure.
Were they selected by Hockey Night in Canada? They probably were.
I don't know how Hyman.
I'll look into that for you.
Yeah, come on, man. Mitch Marner was excellent in this game. Joseph Woll, obviously, he's the first star, but that's a pretty homer selection there. Anyways, awful first period, Tom. I mean, that's not breaking any news here. You missed
completely
Ekholm on the PK. In front of the net, they were a mess. They couldn't win a battle. The second and third goal, Skinner, bad rebounds. Let's call it how it is. He wasn't good on those. Sure. He wasn't good on those. And I've been defending Skinner lately, but tonight you need more from him 100%. Awesome second period by the Oilers. They bounced back. They're only able to get the one goal. And then in the third, it was kind of back and forth. Toronto was kind of hanging on there towards the end. You saw their goaltender kind of close his eyes, breathe in there with about a minute to go, just settle down. And, unfortunate. The crowd was buzzing on the tying goal, but it was offside. It's just call it how it is. It's it was offside. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah. But I will say, the PK wasn't good tonight. You want more from Skinner in this one? Sure, you do. Okay, I thought the rebounds were bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, listen. Maverick goes, did Tommy say Skinner had a good game? Yeah, he made some good saves in important moments. Did he let in 4? Yes. There was a couple goals. Stetcher on the PK, out-muscled. Brown on the other PK goal, missed his check, didn't pick up his guy. Yeah, rebound control, sure, but if you're going to dump on Skinner and solely Skinner tonight, you are sadly mistaken. So I thought he made some good saves and kept them in it.
No, I'm with you. I didn't like 2 goals, and you got to be better. And was the other goaltender better? And I'm tired of out-goalied again. Like, what are you talking about? The Oilers are the 3rd best record in the league. Well, the Oilers get out-goalied that much? Come on, people.
Listen, tonight, Joseph Wall made some amazing
saves. He was
saves,
outstanding. No question about it. But for me, Skinner needed to be better. Plain and simple. I'm not defending him tonight. Plain and simple. Power play 0 for 2. PK 0 for 2. You got to look at that, Tom. You got to look at their start. And we said it in the pregame, and we said it on all the shows yesterday. We did. This team's coming in feisty. They're on a losing streak. They can't score. They were ready to go, Tom. They were ready to go. And the roller coaster of Evan Bouchard, it's just truly outstanding. Because in the first period, he was awful, Tom. He had like 4 turnovers. He had 2 icings with no pressure on him. He was bad. But then he scores that goal, and you see a completely different player, mostly offensively. Like, you couldn't get the puck off him. He was getting his shot through. He was making good, crisp passes. It's just the roller coaster, and we've talked about it all year, Tom. It's always going to kind of go like that. Like, he can be really bad and then turn it on in one shift, and then he's a different player. So, and you know what? You need more from the secondary guys here. And I know it's only a 2-game losing streak, but Colson, Arvidsson, MIA today for me. I thought Jeff Skinner was around it. He got robbed. Absolutely robbed, Tom.
Yes, he did.
But all in all, what a game. And at the end, the 2 saves, I know one was after the Hornet sounded, but those were outstanding, Tom. I mean, if you're a neutral observer of this game, you had a good time. If you're an Oilers fan, you're probably pissed. It's the Toronto Maple Leafs. Took over Rogers' place.
They are pissed, and we have lit the Skinner candle, Hernan, because people are just roasting him. They're getting mad at me for saying he made good saves and had an okay game. Like, it is unbelievable how people just look at the game. Not everybody, but they look at the game and all they focus on Stu Skinner. Oh my God, he let that. Oh my God. Okay, Evan Bouchard was not good tonight. But it's just like this. You got to open it up, guys. And then they go, the sub 900 night, guys. Sub 900 night. Stu Skinner's fault. You don't win games on an Excel spreadsheet, you guys.
No. And
did he make the clutch save tonight? And did Joe Wall? Yes. Was there a goal scored against the Leafs that was called back? Yes. That was a highly entertaining game with 2 teams with a lot of firepower. The Oilers were sloppy in the first period. They got better in the second period. They were dominant in the third period. And then ultimately they had a goal called back. And they lose. But it's Bouchard and Skinner's fault.
It's the norm now. I've accepted it that every time Oilers lose, it's Stuart Skinner. And I don't think I'm being harsh on Bouchard. He was awful in the first, but he turned it around after the goal. I thought he was, and I said it, he was really good offensively after he got that goal. You can see the confidence rising. I'm not blaming these 2 guys for the loss tonight. Bouchard wasn't even on the PK when they got scored, and it was Stetcher.
Why was Stetcher out there?
Well, because wasn't one
that comes out? Like if you just say, I would not put Stetcher on the PK because he gets out-muscled all the time. And don't get me wrong, I have all due respect for him.
Yeah.
Okay. He's not the biggest guy. He does not win battles.
No.
He gets pushed out of position. I don't know why he was on the PK. Anyway.
And look at the Marner goal.
The Marner goal, yeah.
Like he goes through Hyman, Kulak, Bouchard attempts to get him from, trailing him. Like that goal can happen that early into the third period, Tom. And there's multiple players that fall for that. There's no excuse for that. You can't get scored on like that quick. What was it, 18 seconds in? Yeah, 18 seconds in. Like, there's more to it. There's more to it than just 2 players every time this team loses. And it's fair to criticize, yes. And I am being a little harsh on Skinner tonight, and I think it's fair. Fair enough. You've won. But, you can't just look at 2 players every time the Oilers lose, people. They were awful in the first period. All of them.
To those that are not watching, and to those who are listening on their way home or listening because they can't watch right now, I have a huge smile on my face because I'm enjoying the living you-know-what out of this. And it is fun. It was a great game. I love how people, Skinner sucks. Oh, my God. Tom, what are you watching? The exact same game you were. The exact same game.
Dusty on the nasty chat. I got to say, boys, I'm pro Skinner guy, but he was their least valuable player tonight. I agree. One of them. Right. I didn't like the 2 rebounds.
Sorry for saying that he had a good game and made some good saves. I like to be positive.
And you're not wrong either. He made some good saves.
Yeah. He gave them a chance. They almost tied the game if one of their guys did not go offside. I'm a little bit surprised, Oil Country, that you're not mad at John Klingberg's left leg.
Ooh, don't start that, Tommy.
Oh, here we go. 780-218-9999. You can call me crazy. I love it. Good energy tonight. People are fired up right here on the GCL Diesel Oil Stream post-game show. All right, we're going to get to a few texts. Matt Kassian's logging on, our game analyst. He'll be ready to go shortly. I'll get to the turning point of the game, and then we'll get into the breakdown with Cass. RBM says, great effort on the Oil to give it a good shot to tie it in real high-event game. But honestly, the slow-ass starts are getting old. That's a fair point by RBM. It is only February, and I know they'll get their crap together, but it's still getting tiresome to all the incoming Skinner haters that I'm certain you're going to get tonight. Shut the hell up, says RBM with an LOL. Third full season in the league, technically. He's had a fantastic save percentage for what's actually most of the season now. Honestly, you guys should take note of those 5%er that just refused to read their text from now on. Dusty was fired up yesterday. Now I am as well. So tired of hearing such god-awful takes from some bozos like that. RBM, fired up. Good text, RBM. Good energy tonight. Library Pat texting and says, I didn't see the whole game, but it seemed like they missed Ekholm a lot. 3-0 deficit, ultimately too deep a hole. Library Pat 4-1 as well, and they climbed out of it almost. And man, that place popped off when Draisaitl buried that one. Good eye by the video coach for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
In a good timeout.
Yeah, good timeout. Very smart. Maclemek texting and says, I couldn't hear the audio from the game, but it seemed like the Leafs called a timeout followed by a coach's challenge after the tying goal. Feels like it shouldn't be allowed. There should be a limit how much time can pass after a goal before you can challenge. No excuses for the loss. This one says, crazy if the Oilers played 60 minutes of hockey. Do they keep track of useless no-look back passes? Rob Yari Bahari from the bridge. Rob Yari Bahari from the bridge. I'll tell you what, they don't technically keep track of useless no-look back passes, but Edmonton had a lot of them. They probably won in that category tonight. Okay. I've got a lot of texts to get to. Please keep those coming in. It's a good vibe tonight. 780-218-9999. I'm going to get to the turning point of the game. Brought to you, as always, by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy, where they treat you like the pros. Their multidisciplinary team includes sports medicine physicians, along with highly skilled physiotherapists, strength and conditioning coaches, and massage therapists. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance performance, we treat you like a pro using the same locker room approach trusted by the best in the game. Fantastic stuff there from the good folks at Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. Go check them out if you've got a nagging injury or pain that you'd like to see go away. Book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmed.ca. I am going to go to that challenge and that timeout as the turning point of the game. I thought it was a clean zone entry. It was on the wall that was closest to us on the broadcast side. You thought Klingberg held the line. Turns out he didn't. Craig Berube calls the timeout, gives his video guys a few extra seconds to confirm. They make the challenge, and it winds up being a goal taken off the board, and the Oilers do ultimately fall in regulation to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So the Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy turning point of the game is the challenge by Craig Berube. A good, smart, veteran coach's move. Timeout, challenge, gets the call reversed on the ice, and the Leafs end up with 2 points and continue on their 4-game Pacific Division road trip. The Oilers wrap up their 6-game homestand with a 3-2-1 record. There you go. Advanced Sports Medicine and physiotherapy. Like I said, if you want to get rid of that nagging pain and you want it to go away, book your consultation today at www.advantagesportsmedicine.med.ca. Pardon me. Let's get to Matt Kassian for the breakdown. He's ready to go. Lots of texts coming in. I like the energy tonight. Keep it coming. Good, bad, positive, negative, whatever. Just don't drop a lot of expletives. We're having fun on this Saturday night. All right, Cass is coming in for the breakdown. He's ready to rock. The breakdown brought to you by South Fort Chev. Reserve your 2025 Equinox Trax and Traverse now. They won't last long. They've also got the best discounts on 2025 Silverados and won't be beat. See dealer for details, www.southfortchev.com. Matt Kassian, our game analyst, back in from his satellite studios. Cass, I mean, we're fired up. We're talking about Skinner. We're talking about stature. We're talking about how sloppy this team was. Where do you want to start? Go for it, pal. The floor is yours.
I don't. People are going to lose it. People are going to lose their minds, which is okay. I'm fine with that.
And
I'm fine
know
with
this.
That. We know they lose their minds. We know they get unreasonable. Stuart Skinner wasn't unbelievable tonight, but he wasn't horrible tonight. Like, out of all the goals, only one went in on the first shot where he was looking through three bodies, and it was a good shot, far side. Would you like him to have it? Sure.
Yeah.
The other ones, it was all rebounds and second chances. So all rebounds and second. So he made the first save. Now, Marner's goal, would you like him to have closed his leg? Can you say, well, he should have, upon that, he should have closed up, made sure there was no holes? Sure. Mm. So I'm not going to sit and say he was unbelievable, but he made some really good saves too. So I don't get the level of hate that's put at him. I mean, on the Marner goal, even in that one, like, sure, you want to blame Stuart Skinner on it going off a guy's foot after he makes the save. Should have controlled the rebound better, right?
Yes, agreed.
Marner
agreed.
Walked between four guys on the Oilers.
Yep.
Four guys. Four. All staring at it, and he walks them. Connor Brown loses a guy in front, gets his stick on the wrong side of the body on the penalty kill. Another lost battle in front of the net where Skinner makes a save and the rebound around the side of the net gets put in. So if we're going to sit and say that this was only Stuart Skinner and it's only Stuart Skinner's fault, it wasn't. It just wasn't. They were sloppy in the first, again, took penalties in the first, got scored on, and weren't able to climb out of the hole. Now, they just about did, if not for Klingberg's hip. Maybe if he was a little slower, didn't have the surgery.
Hey-o.
Right, maybe it's a win. And that was offside. Now, I wish, and I texted you this, Tommy, I was like, how many seconds is it? And it was 20 seconds.
It was 20, yeah. And
that, to me, is ludicrous. Because it's like enough play has happened after that point that it's not directly impacting the goal. It's not. It's stupid. I don't like it. Mm-hmm. So I don't like that. But the amount of hate that Stuart Skinner's getting, I think, is quite overwhelming. And, we'll just start Pickard and trade Skinner and this and that. It's like, watch the goals again. Pull them up again. Look at them again. Skinner isn't the only one on the ice in these situations. And again, there was only one where there was three guys in front of him, and he looks the other way. That was the only one that wasn't on the first shot. So, no, he should have saved the first and second and third and fourth opportunity, right? That, it still wouldn't be good enough for most people. But, yeah, again, if they would have won tonight, if that goal would have counted, they would have won, let's say, in overtime or a shootout. Stuart Skinner would not have been the reason that they won that hockey game. But Stuart Skinner was also not the reason that you lost this hockey game. You lost it with your sloppy play. Again, four guys all around Mitch Marner, ends up being the game winner. He walks you. And he's a good player. That's going to happen on occasion.
I'll throw this news flash bulletin at you, Matt Kassian. Your opinion on Stu Skinner, my opinion on Stu Skinner, not going over well on the Nasty Chat. Not going well over it.
Oh, no. Of course it's not. Of course it's not. ZB's in there, says numbers don't lie, Matt. They don't, but you have to look at context for numbers. Context is important.
No.
So I'll just say that. No, it's never important. No, context is important. What's going on around isn't important. Right. Yeah.
Like what Matt's saying, like, yeah, Skinner could he have been better tonight? If you didn't like 1 or 2 goals or 3 goals, sure. That's fine, guys. But I guess the point we're all trying to make is it's just becoming so old and annoying that every loss, it's all Stuart Skinner. And like we're saying, look at that first period by the Edmonton Oilers. Look at their PK. It was awful, guys. Awful. Yep. Look at that. I brought up the Marner goal before Cass came up. He went through 3-4 guys who were trying to stick check him. And he goes off his skate. Like there's no one even like remotely close enough to him to make a play on Mitch Marner. And it's okay if you don't like Stuart Skinner's game tonight, people. It's okay, but to blame him every single time, and he's the lone reason. Like there was more poor performances on the Oilers than just looking between the pipes, guys. There is a lot of bad in this game for the Edmonton Oilers.
Yep, and there was a lot of good too.
Yes,
there was lots of good too. They turned it on in the second period. They battled back, being down 3 goals, and were an offside call away from being tied and potentially taking the game to overtime. So there was a lot of good things too in this. And let's not forget the Toronto Maple Leafs coming off a couple losses in a row where they hadn't scored. They were hungry tonight. And I still thought overall the Oilers were a better team. All the people are like, the numbers don't lie. What do the numbers say about the Oilers shooting percentage tonight? Tell me that. Riddle me this, right? Like the Oilers actually did some really good things tonight. They were just too sloppy early, which has been a little bit of a problem.
It is a problem.
It is a problem. That is a problem.
Absolutely.
And that's not just Stuart Skinner. That is every single guy on that bench and on the ice.
780-218-9999. The Oilers fall 4-3 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Imagine the conversation we would be having right now had Klingberg stayed on side. And then the Oilers miraculously, with all that momentum that they had in the third period, pouring it on, gone out and won that game. People, but this team is so resilient. Oh my, I love this team, and they're sick, and they didn't have their best defenseman, and they pulled it off. They were that close. And guys, Evan Bouchard hit the post.
And he hit the post.
Good point, yeah.
Trade him.
They were around it. He
didn't score. You got to trade him. He only got 1 goal tonight. Not good enough, Evan Bouchard.
The Oilers are tied for the 3rd best record in the NHL.
Not elite. I'm kidding.
No.
They're not trading for a goalie, people. They have their goalies. Like, what are we?
No.
Like, can we just move on from the goaltending?
Yeah, let's move on.
Sure.
Let's move on. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Shaggy in St. Albert. Always enjoy Shaggy's commentary. Yeah. We do it to ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'm feeling good about this today. I'm enjoying this a lot. As just like I said, a lot of entertainment tonight in that game. Shaggy in St. Albert says, you guys said we were being picky when the Oilers lost against the Wings. This game is continuing trend of Oilers playing sloppy defense. Shaggy, 100%. All right, let's continue with Shaggy here. McDavid has been lackluster since coming back from suspension. Difference was goaltending. Wall made the big save when needed. Skinner did not. Oilers, once again, don't start a game with any intensity and defensive awareness. That point I agree with wholeheartedly as well. I think the boys would too. 2-game losing streak and blow great opportunities to try and get first in division this year. Ruined my Saturday night again. Another loss is another loss. Shaggy in St. Albert with that one. LB texting in saying, nice win for the Oil there. Best effort of the season. I'm counting the 2 points because the only reason they lost was the officiating. Jays. Leafs are awful. They got absolutely caved in. Too bad it's 5-on-6 out there. LB. I don't know how to respond to that one, guys. Was that a troll job?
Oh. I mean, maybe that play on McDavid at the end when he went flying into the boards.
Why wouldn't they have called that a penalty? Because I thought it was at first, too, and that was on Jake McCabe.
Yeah, it was late, Tom. That's why.
Game management.
That's game management. Yeah, that would be my thought, too, because when I first saw it happen, I thought it was going to be a call. No, I didn't go back and slow it down again. so it's not like I got a great look at it. But the officials were not the reason for this loss. Again, your shooting percentage, you didn't score.
Hey, speaking of that, Oilers' power play wasn't good either.
No, power play wasn't good.
No. 0 for 2 on the night. PK 2. The Leafs go 2 for 2. So the Oilers 0 for 2 on the power play and 0 for 2 on the PK. And again, it missed assignments, right, Cass? Like, and now, so we're talking about rebounds. Stetcher on the one. Brown on the other one. Missed assignments, rebound goals, and that was costly indeed. By the way, shots on goal end up being 48-28. Face-offs, the Leafs win that battle 52.9% to 47.1%. Oilers power play 0%. Oilers PK is 0% as well. Both teams wind up with 17 hits. Block shots 24 for the Maple Leafs, 7 for the Oilers, 11 giveaways for Toronto, 12 for the Oilers, and officially 7 takeaways for the Leafs to 2 for Edmonton. Couple more texts here. EA texting and says, sigh. Another game with 40-plus shots and losing. I won't mention goaltending tonight because I'm sure there will be enough criticism there tonight, and rightfully so. EA with that one. Troll says, Cass was right. I was wrong. Guess Kulak and Bouch did all right together tonight. What did you think of the patch job on defense? What did you think of Klingberg in his second game of the year and second as a member of the Oilers? What do we say to that, Cass?
Yeah, I thought for a second game, looked okay out there. You do see moments, and he mentioned on his post-game scrum the other day where still a little soft on his gap, like hasn't quite adjusted. There was a couple plays. I think the one they actually Toronto ends up scoring on, the knee-high soft rim up to nobody, where there was a couple. He seemed rushed moving the puck a couple times, and some of that is just timing. It's not a judgment on where he's going to be and what he's going to be able to do for this team yet. But I thought he was okay, and from a patch job, like he hung in there. But there's still a little ways to go for him to get all the way back here. So he wasn't totally clean tonight. I would say it was not a clean game from Klingberg. There were still some mistakes positionally on the gaps and decisions like the rim where he made some mistakes. But the second NHL game in a year, I'm okay with that.
I was looking at the nasty chat. It was scrolling pretty quick there. Keep it coming. 780-218-9999. Nasty chat, do your thing. Hernan, do we have anything from the room yet?
We do. We can go to Leon Draisaitl if you guys would like.
I would like that. What do you say, Cass?
I would love that, Hernan. I wouldn't like it. I would love it.
All right, here's Leon.
I mean, I guess what would you say about your first period? Obviously, you guys battled back hard, but tough opening 20.
I mean, just the goals, yeah. Other than that, I think we controlled most of the play. Obviously, they capitalized on their chances, and then, you dig yourself a hole. It's too hard to come back.
Is it become like one too many mistakes? The margins are getting thin here, right? That's a good team. If you can control, maybe make a couple less mistakes, you're in the game at the end.
Yeah, I mean, if we make less mistakes, then we're probably going to win the game. That's what it comes down to. So, something to look at, something to clean up for sure.
Do you have any inclination that play was offside? I know it was very close. But...
No, I had no idea in the moment.
That's a tough one. I mean, it's a split second, 20 seconds before the goal. As players, what do you think about the way that rule's enforced?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is offside. That's the rule, and obviously we have to live with that. But sometimes it's obviously unfortunate that it's centimeters.
You guys put a lot at him. He made some pretty significant saves tonight. Was there just a thought on his night, and was there some frustration?
Yeah, he was good. Again, I think that we controlled most of the play. Obviously, the shots will tell you the same, and chances probably will as well. So, not a bad game. Obviously, it's tough to, go down 3 goals twice. So something to clean up.
Ekholm not being there make a big difference on the penalty kill, particularly.
I mean, it makes a massive difference everywhere. He plays in every situation. He controls the game back there. So, of course, you miss him.
Yes, so much so that the PK goes 0 for 2 on the night. He didn't seem too angry, and do you guys agree with him on they controlled most of the night? Because I'm kind of going, I don't think you could say that about the first period.
Yeah, not the first period, but after that they did.
Yeah,
they most certainly outchanced them. They most certainly outshot them. Most certainly outpossessioned them, and way more zone time in the Maple Leaf zone than in the Edmonton zone. But I mean, it was sloppy in the first, and yeah, the goals against, you clean those up, you probably win the hockey game. Yeah, you don't give those up, and you play with the same fire you had in the last 2/3 of the hockey game, you definitely win that hockey game. And yeah, I mean, listen, he didn't get asked and didn't talk about the penalty killing. I think a really good question would have been, how much did your penalty kill miss Matthias Ekholm? Because if we're talking about that and the defense, which we did just briefly, that may be the biggest area where they missed him tonight. And I think the penalty kill that showed, where they gave a whole bunch up, where Ekholm wasn't there, not quite as stable on the back end without him, which is a big thing. And that's, one of the reasons it's important to go through games like this as a team and as an organization, especially before playoffs and before the trade deadline, is to see what it looks like with a guy out of the lineup. What happens if Ekholm gets hurt in the playoffs? What happens if you're down a guy and you have to balance things out? And that's, that's a big hole to fill on any team. You lose your top defensive defenseman, it's going to hurt, and it's going to be difficult to overcome. And maybe we saw a little bit of a glimpse of that, particularly with the penalty kill tonight.
Hernan, anything to add to that before I get to some more texts?
Yeah, I mean, Draisaitl is just kind of, we got to be better. And then he brought up how much Ekholm means to them and all that. But yeah, I think I'm with you, Tom, where I don't think they controlled play for most of this game. Second period for sure. Third period was a little bit of back and forth with Toronto holding on there in the last 6-7 minutes. But all in all, I mean, that's Draisaitl. He's kind of short today, obviously not happy with the loss. But we got Bouchard, boys, if we want to hear him. You tell me when, Tommy.
Let me tee this one up, because Evan Bouchard getting a lot of attention, obviously, tonight. Sloppy at both blue lines, or in both zones. Did score, did pick up an assist. His final stat line before we get into his post-game availability ends up being a goal and an assist. +2, guys. 27:05 time on ice. Wow. 8 shots, 1 blocked shot, 1 giveaway, and 1 takeaway. So chew on that as you listen to Oilers defenseman Evan Bouchard following the team's 4-3 loss to the Maple Leafs.
From tonight, it was a heck of a game. He had a pretty staunch comeback, but it fell short. How do you guys view?
I think once we started keeping it simple, getting on them, playing 5-on-5, I think we were good. When you dig yourself in a hole like that, it's tough to come out of.
You guys had a couple of opportunities on the power play, but it seemed to misfire a little bit there. What were you noticing on the power play? What do you think?
Yeah, didn't capitalize. We go out there every time thinking we're scoring. It was a little sloppy, especially a little bit on my end. So, when you get a chance like that and they score 2 power play goals, you kind of want to get one back. But winning tonight, that was a big difference.
So many looks. Did you really? He was obviously having a night in their net. Did you feel like you were going to have to get a lot on him?
Like I said, I think 5-on-5 we were good. We were putting pucks in net. We were all around it. He stood on his head and he had a good game.
What did you think of the post that you hit in the end? Was it one of those ones where that's all they left here, or did you have more room?
I don't know. To me, I thought it was going in. Obviously, when you get a look like that with that much time left, you got to find a way to put that in.
8 shots, a goal, 2 points. You had a pretty good game offensively. How did you feel about your game there?
I thought it was fine. I thought everybody was contributing. Everybody was rolling, especially come that third period there. We were keeping it simple. We were all over them, but I guess I came up short.
Yeah, even going back to those road games, there have been some 2 or 3 goal deficits in first periods. Is it a blip or is it a trend at this point that something needs to be cleaned up early?
I don't know what it is. We got to find a way to not dig ourselves a hole, like I said, because when you're down 3 goals, it's a tough one to come out of. It doesn't matter who you're playing against.
When you were in here before the game and everybody knows Ekholm's not going to play, What happens with the defensive line? What's sort of the mindset going to battle without one of your best guys?
Yeah, he's definitely one of our top guys back there, presence back there. So everybody kind of had to step up a little bit more. Yeah, obviously when you have a guy like that out, you miss him. Yeah.
Multi-point game for Evan Bouchard, 27 minutes plus on the ice with the Matthias Ekholm situation with the illness. So there you go. There's Evan Bouchard. He said, and I quote, "A little bit sloppy, a little on my end." So guys, he acknowledged it. Good. Does that totally redeem him?
No.
Oh boy.
Okay. 780-218-9999. I'm going to get to a couple of texts here. Spruce Grove Rick says, TG, the issue is simple. Skinner is inconsistent, but how much of that is because the team is not ready to play? They lead the league in goals against in the fewest shots, 5. That's a team not ready to play. Yeah, and you heard Reid ask about the starts. It goes back to that road trip. So that's, creeping up on 10 games here, maybe even 10 games plus. If it makes anybody feel any better out there that's really mad about how this game ended, the start, the Calgary Flames have been dominating the Detroit Red Wings, and Detroit scored on their second shot on Dustin Wolf. So I hope that makes you feel better. Maybe it makes you feel better. I'm not sure. California Sam texting in says, how is it that the league allows everyone just dive at McDavid's legs? It's almost like they hate having a superstar in the league. That's from California Sam. Meg's texting in says, I can assure everyone that my dad is hella pissed at Klingberg tonight. Timber Woodsman adds, I hate the Leaves so much. Stop trying to pass the puck in the net. Wall was insane tonight. Did I mention I hate the Leaves? Too cute at times. And yeah, Cass, they were off. Listen, I said, and we were talking upstairs in the press box today, and it was acknowledged that there is definitely, obviously, a bug going around this team right now. You didn't see the Viking play today. Klingberg didn't skate yesterday. Some guys sound like they've got the really hoarse voice right now. How much does that affect an overall team ability to perform at peak level? How much of that is just a bad excuse?
I don't think, as far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone made an excuse for it. They said, "Oh, the reason we lost is we got guys that are sick."
Well, I'm saying it, I guess.
I don't think it's not an excuse. And they battled those second two periods. They battled. They played with energy. They controlled the play. They outchanced them. They were the better team, even with an illness going through. But it does and will affect you. I mean, it's just like any of us, Tom. You get sick, your body does not have the energy. You generally don't have the same level of focus, and it's difficult to perform at the level that you normally do. I mean, and it's not just when you're sick, it's generally the days after you're sick as well, where your body is just, building itself back up. But it's like, yeah, your body naturally uses resources to fight whatever infection you have, bacterial, viral, whatever. And so, yeah, you're not going to have the same level of jump in energy. I hate to put a percentage on it because we don't know exactly who is sick and how they're feeling, and it impacts different people different ways. Mm-hmm. But it absolutely has an effect on it. That's why Ekholm didn't play today, because he was too sick and he wouldn't have been able to do anything. So you don't want to use an excuse, because it is an excuse, and it's not an excuse, Tom. It can be an excuse for energy, but it shouldn't be an excuse for sloppiness still at the end of the day, and for some of the mistakes. And so, yeah, you can't hang on to that as being the reason that they lost tonight. Again, the sloppiness in the first, poor penalty killing, poor power play, those are the reasons why you lost. They
did really pass up some great opportunities to shoot from good shooting areas, especially early in the game. So, yeah, that attributed that to sloppiness as well. Nancito, anything else? Who are you laughing at? I can see you laughing over there.
I'm just laughing at some comments in the nasty chat.
There's some funny ones. People harping on Knobloch now. I don't know if you want to read one, Hernan.
Oh, yeah.
It's turned to Knobloch. Yeah, Knob's not the answer for this team. The guy shows no emotion.
Yeah. Not going to win a Stanley Cup. Yeah. Game 7. 1 goal.
He's only
third place, or I guess are they tied for third? I think it's tied for third place.
Yeah.
Tied for third place in the league.
I'm going to side with the fans on this one that are saying that, because Chris Knobloch is only 78, 34, and 9 as coach of this team.
That's it. Yep. Not good enough.
Not good enough.
Not good enough. Playoff record too, Tom. Playoff record isn't good enough.
No. You only win 3 games in the Stanley Cup final? What a loser.
Unacceptable.
I can't believe we're being facetious, obviously. I enjoy this. Again, I will reiterate, I am really getting a kick out of the energy tonight, good or bad. Mix in a water, by the way, if you've been having a few adult beverages. Stay warm out there. And listen, man, I knew it when there were so many Maple Leafs jerseys. They were loud. They were booing, or they were taunting Skinner in his own arena, hometown kid. The Leafs, when they scored, they got a pretty raucous ovation. And I feel like there just might be a few wires that touch and cross, and sparks will fly, guys. And I don't like seeing it, but it's going to happen.
I hope not, because it's possible. Guys, I love like the dueling chants. It's got like that English Premier League feel to it, right? Where you have the chants, you have people like, I love that stuff. I wish we weren't as reserved with some of the chanting, and not that I think you need to yell at and boo at every players, but some of the emotion that the crowd has, like it brings a lot to the game. Like that's fun. That part of it's fun. Yeah. Now, don't be an idiot. When you walk out of that building, the game is over, and you being a macho guy or gal, it has absolutely nothing to do with your team or their performance. Like, you're not going to change the outcome of the game. You're not going to change the outcome of the playoffs by being an idiot. So don't be an idiot. Like, go laugh with the people that you were just cheering against and enjoy some time with them. Don't be stupid. But I love that. I think it says you hate Leafs fans in a good way. You hate Leafs media in a good way. You hate the Leafs, I would say, and I do, in a good way. But it's a friendly way, right? Like where it's like, I love that there's that antagonistic attitude and that they travel well and that you can yell at them, but you want to see it done in a way that's still respectful and not like a donkey. So, be smart if you've had a few adult beverages or not. Yeah, well said. Mix in a water. Golf guy Steve texts in, says, "Hey boys, the Skinner hate lately drives me insane. We have a young, drafted and developed local goalie who is young in his NHL career as a starter. Took us to Game 7 of a Stanley Cup final. Relax, everyone. He'll be fine. Oilers can win a cup with 74 between the pipes." Golf guy Steve with that one. Thank you, Golf guy Steve. Library Pat says the haters are the vocal minority. I think most of us agree with you guys. Skinner wasn't great today, but that first period wasn't all his fault. Total team effort. Library Pat. Thanks, Library Pat. Kootenai Time Ben texting in says, if we're looking to blame a goalie, I'm looking at Wall. 47 shots is a pretty decent effort from the Oil. I think they even gave him one more. 48 is what the total wound up being. Do we have any more audio to get to?
Not right now, Tommy.
Not right now. Okay, let's. We're gonna have Reid hop on. He's working. He worked the room, and then he's gonna swing by when he gets home. Cass, this team wraps up this homestand 3-2-1 losses in regulation to the Red Wings and the first place Washington Capitals, or I think they're second. They're playing the Winnipeg Jets, who just passed them tonight, and then Edmonton goes to St. Louis and Chicago. I just want to double check on the score of that game. Do we have it? Here it is. Winnipeg in an overtime victory, 5-4. So the Jets continue to roll. That would have been a great game to watch. Your thoughts going into these two games, back-to-back Tuesday, Wednesday, St. Louis and Chicago after a 3-2-1 homestand, Cass? Yeah, gotta go play Holloway and Broberg, right? It's a big one. I think it's important. You got some back-to-back here. One, you need to win without question against the Chicago Blackhawks, and really you should against the St. Louis Blues too. Now, you didn't quite, from a record standpoint, have the homestand that you wanted. You got to find a way to clean up the start of those games. But even though it's a back-to-back, two very winnable games here for the Edmonton Oilers. Like if you
if you play at a level, you should win these hockey games. But how about not spotting the team 2 or 3 goals in the first period? I mean, that's going to be ultra important in this. You got to start to clean up the starts of these games. Yes, you've battled back in them. Yes, you've generally finished decently, but again, you didn't quite have the points outcome that you wanted to. Got to turn around heading into this road trip.
Well said, Matt Kassian. Well said, as always. With that, we will say have a good rest of your weekend. Stay warm, buddy, and we'll catch up with you on Tuesday.
Sounds good, fellas.
There's our game analyst, Matt Kassian. Away he goes. That was the breakdown brought to you by Southport Chef. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. I've got some great texts. Windermere Matt actually texted in a good one. I'm just trying to respond to him. And I will respond to him on the show, and I will directly text him back. We will get to Reid Wilkins shortly. I'm going to read what Windermere Matt texted in. He says, I started listening to you guys because I enjoyed your takes and opinions, but this program, it's almost unwatchable now. I don't need to hear completely absurd Skinner takes and you guys defending them for half an hour. The Oilers have the best value starting goaltender in the NHL. These people just ruin the program. They clearly don't know or understand the game of hockey. It's incredibly frustrating to listen to. You guys are spot on about Skinner, and these people are clueless and don't know hockey. These fans are going to run this guy out of town, and when they do it, it won't take long for them to regret it. That's from Windermere Matt sharing his frustration. And I was just going to say to him, like, Matt, like, I get it. That's why we go, guys, like, let's take a look at this. Cass had the logical approach with Skinner. Did we want 1 or 2 of those back? Absolutely. But was it all his fault? 3 rebound goals. Guys not picking up their men in front. The PK, 0 for 2. So a bunch of stuff that led into it. And I also am adding, as I text Windermere Matt back after his text, that we filter out a lot of them that are anti-Skinner, anti-Bouchard. And we read a bunch that are.
Yeah, it's part
exactly
of the
that.
Part of the gig. You gotta go with the good, and you gotta give everybody the opportunity to express their opinion. And I think Skinner, to Matt in Windermere, I think Skinner was. I think it's fair to talk about him today because. Yeah. Like I said, I didn't think he was at his best. I thought 2 goals he should have had. So I think it's fair to bring him up. But where I'm getting kind of, we're getting kind of annoyed with it too. It's like after every loss, it's the same. Mm-hmm. No, it's not everybody. But Tom, tonight I think it was fair to bring up Stuart Skinner. Not to the extent maybe that we did. But, I mean, we were having some fun with it because people were pretty fired up about Stuart Skinner. But in the end, like if he's great or if he's bad, we're going to talk about it. And I get the frustrations, and don't let it get to you, Matt. I mean, we do talk other things. We brought up the special teams cost the Oilers, a slow start. Bouchard's roller coaster, just, he's constantly up and down. Yep. And some players got to start showing up and producing. Podkolzin, Arvidsson, a lot of guys here that have kind of tailed off as of late. So, yeah, I get the frustration, but I think Skinner was fair today to be one of the points to talk about, Tom. I don't think he was the main reason why they lost. He was a part of it, 100%.
Listen, Joe Wald played lights out.
He was great.
He played lights out.
It happens.
He really did. Yeah, he was.
It happens.
In.
I don't think the Oilers get out goalied every game like many suggest. I think Joseph Wall, he let 3 goals in and he was fantastic. He was the first star of the game. Look at the save 4. He made on Skinner. Yeah, 4. Look at the save on Skinner, the save on Perry there at the end. Like, amazing. Like, and sometimes that happens, guys. You're not going to win every game. So, and I get it. It's Toronto, Tom. So people are just angry and want to, they just want to, they want to blame someone or multiple people and all that. I get it. But in the end, the Oilers got to stop with these slow starts. That's the difference in the game right there. It's the slow start.
It was. And the sloppiness in the slow start. And then I think you could put the missed checks under the slow start category. Toronto was sharper to come out of the gate. I mean, you could make the joke that, well, the Oilers didn't really start picking it up till about 7 when their games normally get going.
Yeah.
We're making that joke. Connor McDavid taking shots at the league for starting this game at 5, even though it's an Edmonton home game. Free beer in the nasty chat chimes in and says, actually, I'm pleasantly surprised at how all EST hosts allow the fans state their opinion. Whether they agree or not, it keeps interesting to hear opposite sides. Yeah,
we're not all going to agree, right? Like it's
that's the worst thing is for us to be like, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, for sure, you're right. You know what? You're right. That's a great point. Here's why you're right. I'm going to tell you more about how right you are. No, that's not fun.
It's good to disagree. And this is a very intelligent fan base. It's a very passionate fan base. And everybody's got different takes, from the coach to the goaltending, the defenseman to the forwards. In the pregame, we were talking about how people were fired up that the Oilers didn't get Drew O'Connor. And we read those because that's what people feel. And just because Tommy and I don't feel it doesn't mean we shouldn't bring it up and bring it up as a talking point and just discuss it, right? So we're here for everyone. Matt, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere.
Peter says, I'm not a Skinner hater by any means, and this isn't about tonight's game. My issue with him is when he's on it, he's a good goalie in this league, but when he's struggling, I find his game to be pretty bad. Now, that's a lot of goalies in this league, but the ups and downs are what scares me with him. If he gets into a lull in the playoffs, that's a problem. I don't want to rely on Pickard again like last year. That's where I think an upgrade would be nice, but not crucial. I also wish Knobloch would have separated Connor and Leon when the other lines were struggling to start. I also didn't like Knobloch's deployment of the lines tonight. You'd think with the final change, he would dominate that side of it, but until the third, I thought they struggled with the matchups. That was something that came up, and Daniel Nugent-Bowman and I were discussing a bit, was why did you need to load up McDavid and Draisaitl tonight? Could they not have worked their own lines? And then when you were down trying to chase the game, second, third period, shorten up the lineup, shorten up the bench. Absolutely. I'm with Peter on that text.
So am I. But it's almost something we have to accept as that Chris Knobloch's been here over a year, Tom, especially this season. As soon as the game is tied or close or they don't have any juice or they're losing, blah, 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 he's always going to load up. And I listen, I think we all understand why, because they're brilliant together. But at the same time, I think that come playoff time's not going to work. Like, it'll work time to time, but in a 7-game series, playing the same guys, they'll be on to you. Shut down that line and you're probably going to win the game. So I think you got to let other guys try to find a way to get you back in that game. It can't always be the top dogs. They're the top dogs for a reason, Tom. But I understand they're always going to play more than everybody else. But sometimes, hey, if someone's going, give them a little bit more ice time. See what they can do, because he's running them out, and these guys are going to get exhausted. And I just don't think it's a recipe for success in the playoffs. You want to do it in the regular season, go ahead, but you got to find a way. And Podkolzin, who was kind of like a coach's favorite here, early on, Tom, he only played 7 minutes tonight, and he's someone I brought up earlier where, it's time now. You need to start producing, especially where you're playing. I think this is the first time since November that he's been out of the top 6, so maybe he's falling off a bit here. He's not as noticeable anymore, and we'll see what happens here with the lineup. I Noah Philp was out today, Tom, but I think in the end, there's about 4 guys you can rotate in and out of this lineup. And I think Podkolzin's falling into that category right now because he hasn't done much lately.
Podkolzin is pointless in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. He had an assist against Washington and then against Colorado. He scored against Minnesota. So yeah, pointless in the last 5. Not a lot of ice time for Podkolzin. Tonight, he was lined up with, if you want to go back to the lines and how the team started, Henrique, Podkolzin, and Brown was the combination. And on the flip side, Hernan, a guy I want to mention that I think actually played pretty good was Brett Kulak.
He was good tonight, yeah. Outside of that Marner goal, where there's 4 of them at fault, but I thought he was pretty good. And it's funny because another guy I want to throw into this mix is Connor Brown. This guy gets a lot of great looks almost every game. He's got to start finishing them. And I know he's not an elite goal scorer. He's not Leon Draisaitl. I understand that. But the amount of chances this guy gets, he's got to start buckling down. I had a few buddies texting me during the game saying, like, Connor Brown's becoming like that guy that's just always gets a breakaway, gets a 2-on-1, and just can never finish, right? So you need a lot more from a lot of guys here offensively, Tom. It's been an issue all year, and it's a top-heavy team. Nuge is coming around, but you need more from at least 4 or 5 guys on this team. They got to chip in a lot more. I'll throw Adam Henrique in that mix, too. I'm not saying he was bad tonight. I'm just saying you need more production from some guys to alleviate the minutes and the amount of pressure that you're putting on the top guys to always try to win you the game.
Brown has not scored since December 16th. That's 21 games. He had a 3-game goal scoring streak in that time. He went on a nice little run where he had 5 points in 3 games, 3 goals, 2 assists since that time. 1 assist versus Ottawa, 1 at LA, 1 at Anaheim, and then 2 against Utah, 1 assist against Seattle, and then he has had just 1 assist since January 7th.
Wow.
No bueno there. He's fighting it a bit offensively.
And people are saying, what about Arvidsson? I did throw him in there.
Arvidsson was... We talked a lot about Arvidsson after the Detroit game, and I think rightly so. Not for good reasons. And today there were a few moments where I'm like, oh, he's around it. Ultimately very ineffective, and a lot to be desired from Victor Arvidsson. All right, Reid Wilkins is standing by. We're going to bring him on. We're also going to get you up to speed on what's going on around the National Hockey League. 9 games on this cold Saturday in the NHL. A quieter night as we get set for the Four Nations face-off. Another week of action to go before we take a break around the NHL. 5-1 Florida defeats Chicago. 6-3 the Bruins spoil JT Miller's return to the New York Rangers. 6-0 Ottawa over Mini. 3-2 the Islanders defeat the Lightning in overtime. The Pittsburgh Penguins take care of the Nashville Predators. 3-0 Winnipeg defeats Washington 5-4 in overtime in the Battle of the Juggernauts. The NHL. Yes. The LA Kings make up some ground on the oil with the 4-2 victory over Carolina in Raleigh. And then you've got the Red Wings up 1-0 on the Flames, a minute left on the clock at the Saddle Dome in the first period. Of course, here in Edmonton, the Oilers fall 4-3 in what was a very entertaining game at Rogers Place. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get into the nasty chat as well. Our good friend and colleague Reid Wilkins standing by. He was in the room talking to the players, talking to Chris Knobloch, and let's get him on now. Reid, Rick, you're on with Tom and Hernan, as you like to say. Great to have you as always. You and I had a good time in the press box tonight. Lots of visiting media from Toronto. And then on the ice, lots of action. Lots of action. It doesn't work out the way the Oilers and their fans wanted it to, though.
Yeah, I was sitting between 2 Toronto media people.
Do you know their names?
Luke Fox and Bruce Arthur. Bruce Arthur wears headphones the entire game. So
why?
No chit-chat there.
Because he didn't want to
I don't know. I
you?
think he's following other games, or he might be watching, has the game on Sportsnet or Hockey Night in Canada at the same time, and then just goes to the video if he wants to see something.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a little surprised that certainly Draisaitl and Knobloch mentioned. I know you played Bouchard. I'm not sure what else you played tonight.
We played Draisaitl.
That they didn't seem to think the first period was that bad.
It was awful.
I thought it was quite bad.
Yeah.
I know they wound up out shooting the Leafs. But here's what I specifically didn't like. I'm not just come on and say it's bad. I have the evidence that I'm going to present. Poor passing.
Yes.
Really poor passing. And one of the things I watch, I mean, look, I'm not like Cass or Gager or Rob Brown. I can't look and say, oh, they're playing the system invented in 1925 by this coach. But if you can't make a pass when you're not under pressure, you are likely going to lose the game. And I thought there were a lot of passes to nobody, a lot of passes into skates, a lot of passes intercepted. So that was point number 1. They got out-battled in front of their own net. And I thought They got out-battled in front of the Leafs net for stretches of the game, certainly in the first period. And then, they couldn't kill a penalty, obviously, which they usually do. And it's funny, I said to Luke Fox, I said, how's the Leafs power play? And he just gives me a thumbs down. I said, like what, just playing dumb or not executing? He's like, no urgency. Well, they look pretty good there. And again, out-battled the Oilers for some loose pucks. And then what was the other thing I was going to say? The bad passing. Oh, and I brought this up after the last game, Tom, and I noticed it. I thought I noticed it at other times on this homestand, that the Oilers did not defend well in the neutral zone. They were too spread out and allowed teams to either execute stretch passes or generate speed through the neutral zone, which then allows for an easier zone entry and puts the Oilers defenders on their heels.
Yes.
I didn't think they were tight enough in the neutral zone. Too spaced out, not precise enough checking. And I heard you talking about Skinner. So, and I'm going to bring up the first goal as an example of something I would like to see him improve on. Right. Yes, he was screened. That was quite a loose screen. I would like him to find that puck.
He looked the wrong way. He went left and the shot went right.
Right. And look, of course, screen shots go in. Obviously, Perry's goal was quite a long shot on Joseph Wall. So those ones do go in on all goalies. But again, I feel like with Skinner, that's a trend, that he doesn't see the puck through the screens or find a way. Like, he's a big guy.
Yep.
Like, find a way to be big enough to stop it. So they're down 3-0. I thought it was a very poor first period. And then, a couple things. It's 3-0. The Leafs clearly aren't going to be able to dominate to that extent for the entire game. And the Oilers cranked it up. So what I think now we've seen over the last 3 weeks, because there's been other games they've been down 2 or 3-0 and come back or almost come. So what, they came back in Chicago. They came back against the Penguins. Sorry, they almost came back against the Penguins. They came back against the Avalanche. Was there not another game they trailed by 2 goals and won?
Let me look at the calendar.
Was many? I can't remember.
They've had a bunch.
So if this team keeps it under control, they are pretty hard to beat, because we can see how they can crank it up. And yes, I heard some of the discussion about the line combinations tonight, and those guys together are apart. But other lines can gain zone time and create pressure and problems for the other team, even if they don't always finish their chances. So, if the Oilers just keep this -2 after the first period, and kill a penalty or score on a power play, they probably win the game. So, they just can't have these big gaps where they're falling behind by 3 goals and losing a period or a 15-minute section of the game by 3 goals. Because as we saw today, they're quite good. They can really dominate even a pretty good Leafs team that has good defense, that has good forwards, that actually is pretty big. Like, I was looking at the height and weight of all the guys on the sheet we get. I'm like, they got some, like, Trey Living's beefed up that team a little bit too.
That Simon Benoit is a big guy, and he was around McDavid a lot tonight, I thought. All over McDavid. So, yeah, they have beefed up. They've got a good team. They really do. We'll see how they do, although, it's fun to hate on them for sure. All right. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. These starts, Reid, you did bring it up with the players. It's funny. I go back to that road trip when the first 15, 20 minutes of games were really becoming an issue. It was very much in its infancy, this trend, if you will, this bad habit. And I think in the bullpen one day was talking to Gage, and I'm like, hey, do you think this 2 or 3 game stretch where the Oilers have struggled in the first period is going to snowball into something? He goes, nah, they're better than that. And listen, they are better than that, but they've allowed it to become this issue that we need to talk about on most nights, where they're digging themselves out of holes. It's great that they're digging themselves out of holes and they don't get down and all that, but I think it was you who asked Leon about it today, or was it Evan? And
I asked Bouchard about it.
Yeah, and I mean, he wasn't giving you much or giving anybody much, quite frankly. But it is a problem, and it needs to be taken care of. I don't know.
So Pittsburgh, they fell behind, lost 5-3.
Yep.
Chicago, I think they were down 2-0, won 4-3. Weren't they down in Minnesota 2-0 and won 5-3?
Colorado, yes.
And Colorado was the big 3-0 comeback.
That's right.
Trailed Vancouver 3-0, lost 3-2. How did the Capitals game go? Were they up?
Or
were they down in that one and then tied it? I can't remember already. So this homestand maybe not quite the same in terms of that. But again, if they just play, look, you can't dominate for 60 minutes, but you can't be -3. And this is the thing. I say this all the time, and I think the stats would back this up. A 2-goal comeback is nothing. Like it's not even worthy of like, oh, that's a story. Like they happen all the time.
Yeah, I think this year is the year of the comeback in the NHL.
But if you get down that third goal, even if it's earlier in the game, that changes everything. Because then you got to outscore a team by 4 to win the game, or at least 3 to get it to overtime. So, when the Oilers went to the third down 3-1, I thought, okay, this is anybody's game. And then they give up the goal early in the period. And Knobloch said they just had some players 2 or 3 feet out of position, and Marner walks in. And actually, Skinner made the save. The rebound went in off Marner's leg. So, but, a break earned there. Mm-hmm. But it's really interesting, Tom. And I remember talking to Derek Laxdal, the former Oil Kings coach, when he was an assistant with the Stars. And I have mentioned this on air before, but I haven't mentioned it since I came over to EST. So usually I'd have Lax on my show, once a year. And if we pre-taped it, we'd usually just shoot the breeze after on the phone. Mm-hmm. And one day he said to me that he was talking with the coaching staff in Dallas when he was an assistant. And he said the NHL has kind of become like the NBA in that it's a game of runs. Now, obviously, there's a lot more scoring in the NBA, but he says you're not going to hem a team in for 60 minutes. Like, you can't deny chances. Teams have too much speed. There's too much skill. There's no red line. Like, you can shift it and push the pace, not easily, but teams can earn their way back into a game because of the way the rules and the skill are now. And this is what this game reminded me of. So the Leafs had their run, and they did more damage than when the Oilers had their run. It's So that's a lot what it comes down to. So the Oilers couldn't contain the Leafs' run. So as exciting as it was for the Oilers to go 3-1 over the final 2 periods, they couldn't contain the Toronto run. But I thought that was an interesting way to look at it, because a lot of the league does go that way now. It's not so much, it's end to end. It's more, okay, this team just controlled it for 7 minutes, and then it was kind of mucky for 3 minutes, and then the other team controlled it for 10. So then how much damage are you going to do when you have your window?
I like that theory. Laxey's a smart coach. So they go on run. Yeah, momentum in games. You hear coaches talk about momentum shifts, minimizing damage. Like you said, Edmonton didn't do that. Well said, Reid Wick. Well said, Reid Wick. Okay, I'm going to throw one of these from the text line at you. Then we're going to get your thoughts going into this brief 2-game road trip through the Midwest. This text comes in and says, do you guys see a roster forward getting traded before the deadline? I wouldn't be opposed to some upgrades. No name on that text. What would you say, Reid?
I don't know who they would trade.
Well, here's where I think the suggestions would start. Jeff Skinner.
No move clause.
Yeah, I know. Convince him. Maybe you need to have a talk with him. Plant that seed.
Yeah, that'd
Jeff,
be great.
Hear me out. You would be
again, and I say this on my show all the time. Like, I'm happy to entertain stuff, but a contract is a contract, and the bottom line is no move clauses seldom get waived. And I would think, just thinking anecdotally, without looking up every trade that's ever happened, I would think they're especially rare to get waived during the season, unless it's a veteran player that wants to go from a crap ball team to a contending team.
Or he's about to sign an extension and negotiated one with
or
that
something
team.
like that.
Yeah.
I would say, and I brought this up last game too, I would like if I know there's a lot of talk about a fourth line center, all that kind of stuff. Fair enough. I'd like to see them add some speed to the forward core.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind that.
I don't know if do they have enough? I mean, I guess, they outshoot a team almost 2-1 tonight or whatever and ended up. They're a pretty good team. Do they need just a little more quickness up front to help the forward group as a whole? I know there's been a lot of talk about physicality, if you get Kane back, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it, because quite frankly, and I'm kind of throwing this out there as a question to the Nasties too, because I'm not sure myself, but it's bubbled up in my head enough now that I feel like I need to ask the question and ponder it publicly. A little public pondering. I need a pondering bench somewhere in my neighborhood.
Where's the Latino heat on this one? Do you want to chime in on it?
Yeah, maybe Drew O'Connor, Tom. Yeah.
Yes, of course. How come Vancouver always gets those guys that the Oilers should get that we didn't have a clue existed until he got traded?
I agree with Reid. I've been saying this for multiple weeks on the show. It's the Oilers have the wingers to play in the top six. Yeah, go get a bottom six guy, a little more physical with some speed that can chip in from time to time. And I think that's the move for the Oilers. They have the guys. The guys just got to start producing here. Arvidsson's a good player. Skinner's a good player. Podkolzin to a certain extent. Yes, for sure. Nuge, Hyman. I mean, they have the players. They're not going to go out and get a top six winger guys. They're going to get a bottom six. And I think that's the route they need to go. And if Klimber can continue to improve game in and game out here going forward, then they might not have to address that top four, or they might if he's not up to par. So I think the Oilers will make some moves, but I don't think up front it's going to be a big name.
All right, we'll see how it all plays out here. Teams kind of starting getting into the habit of making trades lately. Makes things exciting. Oilers fans getting antsy. Even though, and Reid, we had to remind folks today on Hello Hockey, they literally just got a new player who made his debut on Thursday with this team.
True.
All right. This team does to St. Louis on Tuesday, Chicago on Wednesday, quick back-to-back. Then they wrap up this chunk of the schedule at home next Friday against the Colorado Avalanche. Then they're off from the 8th until the 22nd for the Four Nations face-off. What are you looking for from the Oilers in the Midwest?
Well, St. Louis is 26th overall and Chicago is 31st. Now, having said that, St. Louis has played the Oilers tough the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And in the last couple of years as well, there have been some weird games in Chicago. Or the one earlier this year, Chicago got ahead and the Oilers had to fight back. I think it was early last year? The Oilers had that game where they were shorthanded 10 times.
Yeah.
Remember and Kane got a penalty for lipping off for the second period. And I think Draisaitl got a late game winner in one of them. So there've been some weird games there, but those are two teams not doing well. St. Louis is, I think they've lost 4 in a row. And, they're 7 points out of a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So, you should be able to do some damage there. And then a good showdown with Natchez and the Avalanche coming up on Friday.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd be great to win all 3. I think if you can win 2 out of the 3 here going into the break, then you feel like it's steadied a little bit. And as we've seen, because what are they now? 2-game winless streak. They haven't had 3 games without a win since the very beginning of the season. So they have been good at recovering and not having things really spiral out of control or have a series of losses in a row. So, two very beatable teams and a showdown with the Avalanche. But as we saw, they came back and beat the Avalanche 3-0. We saw in that game when the Oilers cranked it up. All of a sudden, you didn't notice McKinnon and Makar and those guys as much.
Joel has some advice for the Oilers in these next 3 games. Don't get expletive hurt, all in caps.
Well, it's a good idea any game, but that's yes, fair enough.
Reid, you were excellent, and you went 110% balls to the wall tonight. You did it looking that good and dapper in that suit of yours. I always appreciate your time, pal.
I'm happy to be on with you and Hernan. Have a great evening.
There you go. There's Reid Wilkins. Catch him on the Reid Wilkins Show from 3 to 6 right here on EST with the one and only glue guy, Jay Milne. Riedrich was good in the press box. That was pretty funny. He is one of the best in the business, and we're so glad to have him on our team. And we're also so glad to have Hernan Salas, the Latino Heat. You catch him on EST afternoons from 1 to 3 with Joaquin Gage. And Hernan now will bring us the player of the game, brought to you as always by Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting has been a consistent top producing realtor in the greater Edmonton area for over 17 years. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. So check him out, DamonBunting.com. Visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. I think he sold a couple of places this past couple of days. Lots of sold signs if you're looking to move on and maybe you want to upgrade. Maybe you want to go to something smaller. Damon's your guy. Gets it done quickly. Check him out, DamonBunting.com or his Instagram, Damon Bunting Real Estate. Damon Bunting, Hernan, now with the agency. Who's the
player of the game? It's a pretty simple one. Joseph Wall, 45 saves on the night, 938 save percentage. Outstanding. Made about 3 outstanding saves. So give the young guy credit. He was excellent on the night. So he held it down for his team, and they picked up the win. Joseph Wall, Damon Bunting, player of the game for the agency.
The agency. Very nice. Let's wrap it up with this text. It's been a fun night, fun show. I know they lost, and it was exciting. The goal that was looking like the equalizer by Leon Draisaitl gets waved off the challenge. It was offside. John Klingberg couldn't hold the line, just that one extra split second. And ultimately, it's a 4-3 loss for the Oilers. However, we have had a lot of fun, whether you like what we said, hated what we said, wanted to argue with us, wanted to agree with us. I'm not going to lie to you. I enjoyed the heck out of tonight's show. And I thought the energy inside the building was great. Leafs fans were fun. Oilers fans were up to the task. Lots going on tonight at Ice District. And all part of a very frigid Saturday in Alberta, and especially here in oil country. Let's go to Lacombe Drew to wind things down. Hernan, I think you can appreciate this one too. Lacombe Drew says, I'm putting my 8-year-old to bed. He complained about the Oilers losing 2 games in a row and Skinner not playing well. I then gave him a 20-minute history lesson about the Oilers from the minute Curtis Joseph left to when he started watching hockey 3 years ago. Fans need to remember how good it is now and how bad it used to be. Look at Gazzola. He's so grumpy because he had to be a part of the decade of darkness with a crazy emoji. Yes, Lacombe Drew, that is a wonderful history lesson for your boy or for your 8-year-old. And I love it. I just thought that was a funny way to end the show. Nanso, any final thoughts from you?
No, that was great. It's going to be okay, Oilers fans. Behave out there.
Yes,
Oilers
please.
Go 3-0, close out
there you go.
February, and get into the Four Nations. So, it's unfortunate. You never want to lose to the Leafs.
No.
They did play good for stretches, but they'll bounce back. And we'll see you Tuesday as they take on Holloway and Broberg. I'm sure everybody's going to handle that pretty good.
Everybody be calm. Not going to happen. We're on the air at 5 o'clock for the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show. The Oilers and the Blues get going 6 o'clock on Tuesday, so we're going to have to cut into the final hour of the Reid Wilkins Show. Then they do it again the next night, 7:30 start. That's 8:30 in Chicago on Wednesday. We'll be on the air at 6:30 for that one. As always, big thank you to everybody who listened. Big thank you to everybody who watched. Like, share, and subscribe. For Matt Kassian, for Reid Wilkins, and the Latino Heat, Hernan Salas, I'm Tom Gazzola saying have yourselves a great rest of the weekend. Good night, everybody.